Wii Sports was released in North America on November 19th, 2006, alongside the Nintendo Wii. At 82,900,000 units sold, Wii Sports is the fourth best-selling video game of all time. However, Wii Sports was a package game included with every Wii console sold, so it can only really be considered a bestseller in the same way that actors can be considered talented when they're reading words that someone else wrote for them to say while slathered in makeup that someone else applied for them. However, unlike actors, Wii Sports actually did have value and wasn't just good at what it did, but is a rare example of a nearly perfect video game. Every home console released before and after the Nintendo Wii was essentially using the same controller, the gamepad, which is most likely the style of controller that you are most familiar with. It's got some buttons, some directional pads, some joysticks, and whatever their variations, all gamepads basically function the same way. Until the Wiimote, which featured motion controls. The ability to control a game not just with button presses, but with motion. The Wiimote was not the first motion controller ever designed.
This is called the Sega Activator, and this one happens to be with the greatest heavyweights of all time. It's $150, and what it truly enables you to get involved in your video games with your entire body. It's not just hand-eye coordination anymore, Gare.
This
here,
whoops,
and then you just punch.
Ooh,
see?
look at that. Huh?
Now punch me, Gare. There. Can you see
I'm
that?
trying to.
I've got him. I've got him up against the ropes.
It's all right.
Look at
Amanda
this.
comes back.
See, I got to get a left in there. Can you do?
Ooh.
Oh, that was a good one.
Hey.
Isn't this great? But see, I'm moving forward, Gary. You're forgetting to move forward.
Well, wait a minute.
So I've got you up against the ropes.
No, come on. Amanda,
See,
get in
I'm
there.
getting you. I'm getting you.
Get
Okay,
in
I'm going to
there,
get you.
All right,
Isn't
panel,
this
what do you think?
wonderful?
Is this wild or what?
Who won? What do you guys say?
And it wasn't the first weird alternative control scheme for a home video console ever designed.
It came from the third dimension, with its own brain, its own voice, its own legs. There's only one problem. It needs your eyes. Virtual Boy. See it now in 3D.
But it was the first motion controller to be the primary and only controller for a major home video game console. And in this, Nintendo was doing something genuinely unprecedented.
Yeah, push now. Oh, Mama! Oh gosh, Mama!
In order to sell and explain this new control scheme to audiences, Nintendo developed Wii Sports. But first we need to talk about the word intuitive, meaning easy to use or understand. Because by the time of the Wii's release, the modern gamepad had become completely unintuitive. Drop a gamepad in front of someone who's never seen one before, and you might as well be dropping a freaking space rocket control board in front of them. There are too many buttons and wiggly bits on these things. Nintendo realized that these were too complicated for the confused, slobbering masses of dum-dums stumbling their way through the world. The Wiimote, on the other hand, and its motion controls, had an inherently intuitive design. Anyone who knows how to swing a baseball bat knows how to play baseball in Wii Sports. You just swing the controller like a bat. Ditto for tennis, bowling, golf, and boxing. No complicated button layout memorizing or joystick wiggling, just use the controller the way you use its real-life counterpart. With this change in controls, the Nintendo Wii and Wii Sports specifically reached an audience that video games had never reached before. With Wii Sports, all of a sudden your mom was playing video games, your grandmother was playing video games. It really can't be overstated how wildly successful Wii Sports was at getting people who had never played a video game before to pick up and play. Wii Sports was one of those very rare moments of inclusive zeitgeist in our otherwise diffuse culture where it felt like everyone was on the same page, everyone was into the same thing at the same time. Everyone, even dumb, ugly old people and your stupid mom, was playing the same game. The closest the video game industry has come to matching the widespread appeal of Wii Sports was probably Pokemon Go, but even that I don't think was reaching nearly as many traditionally non-gamers as Wii Sports did. And moreover, the game is actually really fun. Playing it for the first time in many years, I was honestly kind of shocked by how much fun I was having, swinging a little plastic wand around my bedroom pretending to hit imaginary home runs. Playing Wii Sports, I felt giddy and silly, like Captain Benjamin Sisko when his feet are pleasurably burnt while carrying 3 lemonades on a scorching hot beach.
I was carrying 3 lemonades. The sand was burning my feet, and I stopped here to... Ow! Do you realize how incredible this is? I will make for you his famous aubergine stew.
So let's go over the 5 sports included in the game. Based on no research at all, bowling seems to be the most popular of the games included, probably because of its simplicity and just how well it works with the motion controls. A lot of the other games have hiccups in the controls here and there, but not bowling. Unfortunately, bowling in Wii Sports is just as brain-dead, lame-brain, watch paint dry, stupid boring as it is in real life. Though since you can play Wii Sports bowling while wearing whatever shoes you want, it may actually be the most superior way to experience the drool fest that is bowling on this planet. Golf usually works pretty well, though occasionally swinging the controller and seeing how hard the game registers your swing feels like spinning a roulette wheel, because you'll give it a little tap, just a little tap to send the ball to its home, and all of a sudden your club launches the golf ball straight to the freaking stratosphere. In baseball, the batting portion of the game works really well and is a lot of fun, but the field portion is a weird, non-interactive mess, where all you can do is helplessly watch in frustration as your bizarre, maimed and mangled outfielders hop their mutilated armless and legless bodies towards the ball in the slowest way possible, allowing your smug AI opponent to get a double over and over again. Boxing is easily the roughest game in the collection because it uses the additional nunchuck controller, whose motion controls are far less accurate than the Wiimotes. But it is an absolute delight on the lower levels to just wail on a me who just refuses to even consider doing anything to protect their face from the violent, irresistible torrent of your padded blows to their cranium. It makes you feel like King Kong bludgeoning a handicapped toddler to death. Tennis has always been my favorite. Like bowling, the controls feel perfect. The Wiimote almost feels like it might have been designed solely to replicate a sports racket. Also, you can play as all 4 players on the court at the same time, and it's like, why does this feature exist? Who is this for? In hindsight though, playing it over a decade after its release, it becomes clear just how much unrealized potential Wii Sports had. It's a lot of fun to play, but it's not a full game. There's not nearly enough content here to last you very long. It's a tech demo. It exists to prove that a home console game can be designed around motion controls, that the motion controls can work, that they can enhance the experience beyond what a regular gamepad could do, and it can be really fun to play. And as a tech demo, it came with an implicit promise that there was more and better to come. But more never really came. There is no truly great golf or tennis or bowling game on the Wii. This was as good as tennis with motion controls ever really got, with the exception of the sequel, Wii Sports Resort. Even going beyond just these individual sports and looking at motion controls as a whole, how many truly excellent games were ever designed wholly around motion controls? Not very many, because most were designed like older games and just shoehorned in some motion controls that felt tacked on, or they just replaced a button press with a motion control, neither of which ever felt very satisfying or very good to play. And now that the video game industry has mostly moved on from motion controls, probably there will never be any more really good games designed specifically for motion controls in the future outside of VR. Which is a shame, because motion controls are actually really fun when they work and a game is designed around them, which Wii Sports proved all the way back in 2006. So at the end of the day, Wii Sports is a really fun and pretty good game that is, in hindsight and historically, sort of disappointing.